Hey guys, welcome to Novelty Read and Dish. You may have formerly known us as Chapter 10, Reading Between the Lines. We did some rebranding, reshifting around, invited some new people. So let me introduce you guys. Adrienne, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Adrienne. I'm a stay at home mom to two and love to read when I have the opportunity to.
What's your favorite genre?
Um, I'm kind of open to everything. I haven't really read much fantasy, so that's a new thing for me, kind of getting into that.
Do you have a Roman Empire?
No, not currently.
Okay, so we have Adrienne. She's going to be with us and open to all genres. No current Roman
Not
Empire.
currently.
Mandy, tell us a little about yourself.
I am a mom. I'm a wife, and I am a Mimi of three little boys that are my hearts.
What kind of books are your favorite?
I would say I like a little bit of everything, but fantasy is definitely like my go-to.
And do you have a Roman Empire?
No, not currently, but currently I am looking for my Roman Empire.
So, in case you don't know, guys, just by the way, our Roman Empire is kind of be like what we compare all other books to, like, kind of like your top tier favorite. If y'all know me from Chapter 10, Reading Between the Lines previously, then you know that I just cannot get over Manacled. Even though it's not a publicized work, it is a fan fiction. I know, don't crucify me, but it is still my favorite. Formerly, I guess it's formally fixing to be known as Manacled, but the publicized is fixing to be Alchemized. So
I,
look
I,
forward to
I
that.
do believe if I had one, that I could probably say that's
Oh,
pretty
it's
close.
it
Medical is,
it has to
yeah,
be. Like I
it's got
just
to be.
yeah, we're gonna go there. We're gonna say Mandy's is Manacled, even though it's probably not. But let's just say it is. Okay, moving on. So Bailey, tell us a little about yourself.
I'm Bailey. I'm a graphic designer. That's what I do as my day job. And I have three little boys, Mandy's grandkids.
Who
um,
call me Mimi?
um, yeah, I have been reading as long as I can remember. And so that's my favorite little hobby.
Do you have a favorite genre?
Fantasy 100%. I'm definitely a fantasy girl.
Roman Empire.
Okay, I don't have one, but it's because I get so into each series that I'm reading that I don't really prefer to compare things. I just get so immersed in what I'm currently reading.
I totally get that too. So you heard it from us. We have a total of four of us right now, and we are doing an online book club. So you may not be an active voice on the actual podcast, but your opinion still matters, and we would love to interact with you. So please comment, share. If you are interested in becoming a guest on the show one day, or if you have any recommendations on new reads, new authors, debut works, hit us up, let us know. Add us on Goodreads. I'm Amber Holloway, Adrienne Hammonds, and Bailey, what is your tag on Goodreads? Do you know?
I want to think it's Bailey Ray 25. That's what
And
most of my stuff
I don't
is.
think Mandy has a Goodreads yet. We're still building hers. But so add us on Goodreads. All of our, basically all of our tags, we're going to follow in on this comment so we can tie us all in together. But today we're going to talk about new work that is just published. Jordan Lynde is the author, and I looked her up. She used to be a Wattpad author. The book name is Until the World Falls Down, and this was look, it had me from the go because in the description it was talking about the labyrinth. And growing up, I was a big labyrinth watcher, and I mean, it was kind of like one of my turning points for, you know, I guess like you hit that preteen phase,
Oh, for sure.
And of
and
course, Bailey is the baby of the group. But she is a big labyrinth girl. Like she caught up with that and that, like, yeah.
I, I don't think it was really big when I was little because I think it was aired probably, was it the early 80s or
Something like that. And I can sit here and say I'm a huge fan of Labyrinth, and I am. I love Labyrinth. I didn't watch it until I was like 24 years old.
I watch bits and pieces, but the meaning changes when you get older.
36.
86?
Mhm.
Okay, so it was like a year before I was
Yeah.
born. But the meaning kind of changed because when you watch it when you're younger, you're more focused on like um
The
the
characters.
The
characters.
fun,
And
bouncy
yeah, instead of like
characters.
the real meaning behind it.
Yes, it
And-
didn't turn out. I watched it as an adult, and now it has a dark romance feel.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Totally didn't have that growing
100%.
up, you know.
100%. Dalton, my husband, he grew up watching it, and I had never even heard of this until years after us being married. Like I said, I'd never even watched it till I was 24, and whenever I did,
Because she was a Disney freak.
yeah, I was a Disney kid. Whenever I watched it, I mean, I immediately fell in love with Jareth because how can we not?
Yes.
So yeah, definitely. Whenever I saw this book, though, I was like,
Definitely add to cart.
Absolutely.
Right,
Yeah.
we gotta read this right
Immediately.
now. I never really, and this was what kills me because I don't know if y'all have ever had a movie or a book where you loved the character as far as the way that they presented themselves and the way they
Mhm.
carried themselves, but you never quite found them attractive
yeah.
if you set them
Yeah.
apart.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
But then for some reason, like I never thought David Bowie was hot. I'm just gonna be
No,
honest.
no,
Like
David-
never.
David Bowie has a very specific look.
Yes.
He's very
And it
unique.
was specifically not my look that I liked.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, exactly. That's how I felt. I was like, this is definitely just not in. I would never.
But
Not
set
not the
him-
mullet. Not no.
But set him as
But in
Jareth.
the
But-
movie, yeah.
As Jareth, all of a
King of
sudden,
the
I'm like, I
goblins?
need a Goblin King. Like, God, look, what is wrong with you, Sarah?
Yes.
So, I I got on board with dark romance after the Labyrinth, and I'm also I do believe that was the turning point. That might be why I like Draco so much, because she winds up going back to the regular world. Sarah does,
Yeah.
good always wins, and there's always going to be a Prince Charming, and everything's always going to be okay. But
The
hindsight
whole happily ever
2020,
after.
I kind of like the fact if she would have been with the Goblin King, I think I would have liked it better. Just like I would have liked Harry Potter better if she
Oh,
would have
right.
wound up with Draco.
100%.
I don't think I could. What's wrong? What is wrong with our world? See, the entertainment industry is just
Bad guys
effing us
need love
up at
too.
every turn.
We're
I'm
getting robbed.
Yes, we're getting robbed of all
Yeah.
these potential
What could have been.
what could have been, and the villain error, and
Oh, I think absolutely right now is the villain era.
Well, that's-
Like
yeah,
we are
we
going
need to
through,
be-
like,
yeah.
yeah, because that seems to be where it's going. Like the villains are coming out on
Oh,
top.
for sure.
all of a sudden we're actually seeing all of this trauma that's turning all of these
Instead everything being
characters.
wrapped up.
It's not pretty wrapped up in a
Yeah.
bow.
Mhm.
Prince Charming, it's okay for him to be a villain, and
Oh,
kinda
look.
like
Did y'all
that.
ever watch the show Once Upon a Time?
Oh,
I
yes.
loved
Rumpelstiltskin
it.
was my favorite character.
You know
Hence,
who
she
mine
now
was?
has a son named Killian.
Yeah.
Mine was Hook,
Yeah.
Killian.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, in the show though, I mean, obviously Killian was because obviously, but Rumpelstiltskin was one of my favorite characters. And it's
Yeah,
just,
absolutely. He was. I'm telling you, he was my favorite.
but just in the aspect of sometimes the villains are just the better people.
Yes, and the whole time you're watching, and that's just like in most of these romantic books right now, you're seeing the
and
villain.
it's another look, another take.
It is the resand. Everybody is resand. Where like in the first several books, you're like, well, he's evil, and yeah, Tamlin, he's Prince Charming, and it's Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it's gonna be wonderful, and we're gonna have a
Just
happy ending. Yeah, and then wind up with resand because when you finally see his side of the story, it's it's a lot different, and it's definitely more real. Anyway.
Yeah.
There was one tangent. Totally relatable though, so I can't really fault us for that. Jordan Lynde. So did some research on her. She was a Wattpad author. And after I added to cart, did a little research. I have not read any of her other works.
I haven't
Yeah.
either.
I will say all the Goodreads said all of them are above 3.5. So after reading this, I'm probably doing
After
it.
after reading this, I would definitely read some of her other books just to see if it, amounts up to what this one did. Because to me, this was a really good book.
Hey, me too. And see, we're fixing
I
to turn the
loved it.
page and get up into it. And I will tell you this. Previously, we did some fantasy reads on chapter 10, Reading Between the Lines. There are totally different versions of fantasy. Most fantasy now is in the YA category. Do not be mistaken. YA category does not mean young adult like it did 10 years
This is
ago.
not a teenager read.
This is not a teenager book. Most of the fantasy now is not something I'd be okay with my 13-year-old daughter reading.
No,
No.
absolutely
why
not.
I
If your
haven't
teen,
read
if your
much
teen
of it
daughter
because I was
asks about reading some
putting
of
it in
these
that
books
box.
that's in the young adult, I would absolutely say no on this one.
For some reason,
Absolutely.
it just, in our minds, because when we were in high school, coming out of a high school, most of the books, like, Twilight was a YA, and that's
This is
appropriate.
definitely not Twilight business right here.
No, most of all the romanticies now are in the YA category, but they are not YA books. They are
We-
not the same
We
YA.
have like the Mortal Instruments in
Mhm.
YA and Divergent and stuff like that, and that is just so not what that category is now. At all.
Yes, I mean,
Mm-mm.
like, some of the smut books are in YA, and it's the young adult is because they say young adult like haven't hit midlife crisis.
Right.
That's how they class them now.
Yeah.
So just in case you're buying a gift for a friend,
It has
or
adult in the title for a reason. Young adult.
yes, it is. If it's young adult, it is probably smut adult.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
be careful before you buy for a friend.
I would definitely go with a teen read or something for because young adult is not young adult now.
Refer to Goodreads, read the room, people. Like,
Yes.
I will say, somebody went to Walmart I met somebody at Walmart. Let me just, and she was an elderly lady looking for a gift for her niece. And of course, I didn't know how old her niece was. So, she's like, "Have you read this book?" I was like, "Yeah, I love this book," which was Court of Thorn and Roses. And I said, "But you can't, second book said you have to read this one first." And she's like, "Oh, okay, I think my niece would like those. It's about fairies." Well,
Oh.
fairies is not fairies like Tinkerbell
Yeah.
fairies
Yeah.
either.
We're talking
These
about
are-
Fae.
Yeah.
We're talking about High Lords.
It is not fairies anymore. It's fairies.
And they have really big wingspans.
Really big wingspans. And some-
Impressive wingspans. They do some impressive crap with these wingspans too.
They do some very impressive things with the wings.
Well, let's talk about the books. What we can do with the shadows.
And I told her, I was like, "You have to read this one first." And she says, "Okay, well, I think she'll like it." She picks the book up. And I said, "Well, how old is your niece?"
I'm scared.
She was 12. And I was like, "Hand me that." No.
No, ma'am.
No.
No.
This
Let
is
me
not
direct
teen.
you to the Tinkerbell.
Yes. This is not the kind of. I said, no, don't get that. Don't get that.
This is interesting her to her Tinkle Barrel.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
This is introducing her to probably, she's never seen a wingspan.
Yeah,
She's probably never seen a
She'll be
wingspan,
very
never thought about a
confused.
wingspan. She may be very confused. But anyway, so back to Until the World Falls Down. And to reiterate, we were just saying, this is not a book that you would get your 13-year-old daughter,
Absolutely.
granddaughter,
Please don't.
friend of the family. Please don't.
yeah, just best not to gift this one to anyone. Let them get it themselves.
Yes.
Unless you're a mother-in-law like me that actually reads this stuff with her daughter-in-law. I'd be like, "Oh, this is for Bailey."
I will say this does have like what I would categorize some smut, because it does have some very graphic
Definitely.
scenes, several graphic scenes.
Lots of graphic wording.
Yes. And I will say that when we were first dropped off into this world, I mean, we went she went to the library. So the main character, she went to the library and she went home
Into a party.
and to a party, and then we was in the labyrinth. I was like, "Boy, you just got deep real quick."
It does.
I mean,
It does.
this does not have a slow beginning whatsoever.
I kind of liked that though.
Yeah,
I do. I like a good
I tend to get very bored if there's too much before it
That's-
gets to
that's
what you
how
know
I'm
the
the
book
same
is
way.
about.
Yes.
And so I enjoyed that it was pretty to the point. I was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, jump right
Yeah,
in.
I did like that it just jumped right in.
And I knew that we were going to learn or we were going to see some character growth.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Had
As
to.
this went on, like there was no way she could go through all this and not grow in some way.
Well, not only her.
And I mean, like,
Well, yeah, also him, like I mean, he came like way from where he was at the beginning of it.
I was blown away about, normally you have a little bit more character building in stories.
Right.
And you kind of just learn a little bit more about the backstories and all that. So in the very beginning, when she goes to the library and she tells it, oh well, we're getting married, and I mean, like, she's just got this otherworldly. Oh, this picture perfect. It's just everything's going to be picture
Yeah.
perfect. I'm off this weekend. We're getting engaged, and she's living her best life, but she gets home. And her brother or her sister and her boyfriend have absolutely broke her heart.
And like literally make her pay for
The-
their coffee and
Dude.
everything.
Took her
Like
in public to do this. To
yes,
her.
in public.
do you know what kind of seven hells I would
Oh,
Unleash.
yeah.
And she took it so gracefully. Like,
Horrible.
I don't know if I want to say gracefully or like naively. You know what I mean?
I
She
do
just-
believe. I think
I think it was
naively
naive.
is what.
Because
Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
still in, like, even after the fact, she
Yes.
kept trying to
She
justify
kept trying-
her love.
And then the
with
labyrinth
him.
kept trying to get back to him, and I was
Mhm.
like, sis.
And
he is
like-
with your sis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like, but it's like where she came from. In her, she
How
was looking for
sad.
so much love
Yes.
that she didn't even care what they were doing to her.
how sad is it that the lifestyle that she had,
Desperation.
yes, that she
yeah,
was
desperate.
so used to it at that point.
That
And
didn't
you
phase
don't
her.
even know all of the stuff that she's been through yet. You're just getting the tip of the iceberg, because I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
we're still going to learn a lot about her
They
in the
were
second
pretty
book.
vague.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
they gave us some detail
was
on
yeah.
what she dealt with growing up with her sister and her parents, but I mean,
It kind of just threw us in. Like,
overall, it was
It's
pretty
probably
vague.
gonna
on the
be
background.
something like having like the wicked stepsister is basically what this is gonna come out to be.
And you know what's crazy? I don't read very many books that are this vague in the beginning that you start picking up breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Because most of the time you learn at least 50 pages in, about a little bit more of their backstory.
Mhm.
This one, we're getting bits and pieces of her backstory. As
She's
you go.
explaining, and
Yeah.
mostly towards the end of the book instead
Yeah.
of the beginning of
So
the book.
there's some things that she's going through in this labyrinth that are hitting home that we don't even know about yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because that's going to come out in the second book.
Yeah,
right.
because she went through each of
It was
people's
just
labyrinths
as
with them.
much a part of her growth as it
Yes.
was.
She
his
went with them
growth.
for a
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
Mhm. And I was
And you
blown
could
away.
you could see her growth every time she went through every stage. You could really see,
Where she was applying what
right?
she,
Yeah, and like it was really hitting her what she needed to do along with them.
And,
it was really like
She has this false idea of love and what
Yeah,
love
very much so.
is.
Yes.
And that is really what the labyrinth is teaching her, is that
yeah. I think it's
isn't-
because she built that false stuff on her being so naive in what she was already doing in her life, and that's what she built it on. Because it was something like a dream she had or something like of what she wanted
Seeking
it
that,
to be.
yeah.
Yeah. And then to the point that she goes through all this extreme to be different from her sister so that she can experience, because why was she thrown out?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Why
Like I
was
want to
it
know.
her?
I want to
Yeah.
know what happened.
I am 100% invested to know, like, what
Why
was
did
so
Dad
bad.
leave? Why did she get kicked out? Why
And
did they
they're
all hate her so much?
twins.
Why
It's
is she
not-
being
Yeah.
treated this way? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably gonna be something like the mom and this sister got along and were more alike. So she was probably the one that did the stuff that was like morally right, where they didn't, and that's why they threw her away because
She,
it
she was like
interrupted
her
what
dad.
yeah, it interrupted what
Well, it
she
basically
wanted.
says that kind of at the end though, because the sister's telling her, like you reminded our
Yeah,
mom
yeah.
of
Yeah,
that.
after that, because he was probably the good guy.
And that's why she didn't love you.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love? This
say
is
that?
But we
so
were
That
all
makes
just
no
using
sense.
pretending so we could use you for your money.
That was crazy.
I
We were
cannot
pretending so
believe
you'd pay our bills.
Yeah.
this girl done paid all the bills, funded
They were
her
in-
sister and her
Yeah.
fiance
And then they're
or
living
boyfriend's
in her
life.
house while she was missing.
Yeah.
Like she's literally picking up their condoms when
Oh,
she got back.
Ooh, 7 devils all around me.
Honestly, just kind of the way I would not have even moved back into the house. Like, I would have just said, now I'm glad with how it ended. But if that weren't going to be the end,
I'd have went to a hotel and I'd have just hired cleaners and I'd have been done with that place.
I would have had to say, I'm just completely restarting. And that includes moving immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all can have this place.
Yeah. I would not have tried to reset that home for me or anything.
Absolutely
I'd have just been
not.
done.
Now, y'all can have the place and the mortgage that
I would
comes with
never
it.
have climbed back
For
in
real.
that bed.
No,
Oh my goodness.
that was
Absolutely
crazy.
not.
But I think, like, when she finally, after she had been through the labyrinth and she realizes what love really is and what
Yeah.
it's not, I don't think she really
She
cared.
didn't care. Mm-mm.
And I can see
I think
that.
plus her heart was so broke. I don't even think she really cared at the time about anything.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
almost like numb to.
She was numb and angry.
Mm-hmm.
so my first, I don't know about y'all, but so when she goes to the bar, of course she's desperate, and it calls to him. He rocks her socks. Homeboy rocks her socks off her effing feet.
Multiple times.
Immediately.
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 How ironic is it that you're going to have the best 3-letter word of your life you've ever had and then be thrown in the labyrinth because he's a psychopath?
Right?
You can't just have one, not a good, like, you're going to be thrown in the
There's
labyrinth.
always strings attached
yeah.
There's
with good
always string
sex.
aside. Why is it that it's the best of her life? And then, like,
Bam.
psychopath. Like, are
Yeah,
you
by the way, now you
effing
have to do
kidding me?
this.
I don't understand.
You're already in.
You don't even get a choice.
At this point, if it's that good, you're like, okay, I'll do it.
Of course, I knew when she's talking about like how wonderful everything was.
I mean, it was too good. Immediately.
Too
I mean, it's
good
too
to be
good.
true to begin with.
I'm like, okay, you met homeboy at a bar.
Well, like, their first interaction in the bar was
Yes.
immediately too good.
I'm like,
I mean, he's like giving her intense kiss and all this crap right there in the bar, like immediately. We haven't even said words to each other, and we are, you
All
know,
on each other.
and instead of okay, first of all,
But God, couldn't you just imagine meeting somebody that you were instantly just like,
I don't know if I could get in the
infatuated
car
with
with them.
her.
Oh, I
Today's
coulda.
time, I don't know. Well, if
I think we've already discussed
probably would've
Bailey's,
also ended up
bad
on the milk
traits,
carton.
and it is that I
She's
would
like,
immediately
of course I would
do
get
it.
in the car.
Of course I would.
of course I would.
then you know, well, if they had a free books inside,
I just need a flash.
neon flash inside.
I have a big library. Okay.
And you know-
Draco, in here.
And you know what's so funny that you said that is because so one of the fan fictions I'm reading, that is a reference. Oh, Astoria says that you have a big library, and that is
so
a
funny.
reference, and you just said that, and it just jogged my memory. I
That's
just had to,
hilarious.
you know. it
But
just
no,
very
I mean,
funny.
honestly, though,
Draco
she
inside,
Well,
yes.
Not
She
like
did
the ice cream
immediately
van for
just-
kids.
have like full trust in this man that, or just didn't care. She was so desperate she
I think
didn't
she
care.
just didn't care at that
immediately.
moment. She was just like, somebody loved me, somebody do this to me. And she didn't have that connection with him. Never had that connection with her
boyfriend.
boyfriend.
I don't care. Whatever
And-
you want, I'll do
just
whatever.
Sign
if
me
it's-
up.
Take
Sign
me
me
home.
up. Because I'm just like, I'm so done that just sign me up. Whatever you want to do to me, do it.
Her confidence
That's
is
what-
so
yeah,
low,
she's
Yeah,
in no
she's
trouble.
in
It
the
is so
mud.
bad.
and her confidence, self-esteem is so.
Yeah.
And what bothers me is in the very beginning, that is how he plays on her. It's
Mhm.
not. It's not that he does it on purpose,
Right.
but
That's
part
what
of being in
he's-
the labyrinth is
Yeah.
the host. That was how he gains his.
Yeah, that's what he was made
That's
to
he
do.
gets those.
Yeah.
And then,
His curse.
Yeah, that's,
yeah,
that's
his curse.
what he was literally made for.
But he rocks her. But unintentionally, she rocks him.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't expecting what he got.
You know, but
But what?
But what?
I'm trying to think of a PG-13 way to say this. Yeah, she might have rocked his socks off, but at least he didn't get thrown by a psychopath into a freaking
Yeah.
game where he was going to be locked for death.
Well, but he did though.
But
Yeah,
he
he
is.
is.
He
The
is.
game.
He is.
So-
He is a game. So it's kind of like, and can't really say that, but
Yeah, it's like you want to say that he's some big bad villain because he is, but he isn't.
But
Yeah.
but that is his curse that somebody
But
put
it
on
is,
him
yeah.
for something he didn't even do.
and you know, moving forward with this whole labyrinth thing, because in the very beginning I was confused on what she was there to do. She's,
Like, what was the point?
yeah, I'm like, okay, well,
This game.
what?
Yeah, like
There's
what is
other
going on?
people. Like, what is her? And then I realized
And
what purpose
once
of
that
it.
first
Well, that's
little
what I
gem
was-
popped
how
up
long did
in
it
the
take-
locket
Yeah.
and how she found the locket, I was immediately like, oh,
How long
this
did it
is
take y'all to
yeah.
figure out that that's what we were doing?
Okay, so
Yeah.
that was pretty immediate.
that was immediate for me.
I'm pretty
It-
shocked how long it took her to figure. And I don't think
Yeah.
it ever really clicked
Yes.
with her until the final
very-
piece.
Yeah.
But
until
I
the very
think
end.
that is her being
Nature,
so
that's
naive.
her-
Yeah.
I think that had just like she was just naive to her bone because that's how and who she is.
And the sad thing is like I figured out what we were doing with the locket.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't figure out what exactly she was doing with the characters that were inside their own labyrinth that she just kept falling into. I was like, okay, so I see what the purpose is of the locket. I'm like, oh, I see what, but then she would make or help them make better decisions, and
They were
would,
each making decisions on love, like in different
Yeah.
forms of love.
Yeah.
And she was in the labyrinth for herself for love. And so I feel like she was probably trying to be taught different ways to love others and love yourself and ways to accept
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
Because she was learning from each one of them.
And so
What love
where they were
actually
in
was.
their own
Because-
labyrinth, they were all her
Because they
labyrinth.
all loved in different ways
Yeah.
and shown that it was just for her to
You had
see
your
there's
familiar, like the familial
Familial.
love,
yeah.
which she was never given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now that
And
was
so
Dio, right?
Yeah,
that was
yeah, that's
the-
Dio.
Okay.
I loved Dio.
that
I
was,
did too.
Yes.
that
He was my favorite one, I
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my favorite though was Silas. And the very end with the curse and the king
Yeah.
and
Yes.
but that being said, when it got spun around,
Mm-hmm.
And you
know
knew
what's
what
happening.
happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
boy, that changed pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I honestly I kept thinking that, she would be done after that one. That she was going to be done with the whole thing. But he still was who he was. She was still where she was. And everything was panning out pretty perfect. And we weren't going into another labyrinth. And, well, why am I still here? And I got so confused. I was like, well, why are you still here? What's happening? I don't know. And I don't know. Like, I bounced around so much on how I felt about him in the very beginning. Because it seemed like he cared so much. And then you found out he don't really have a heart.
Yeah.
So he
I-
doesn't
You
care.
can't care.
So
Yeah.
he's just telling her.
Once we
what-
found out he didn't have a heart, but when she says about the slash, the scar and everything over it, I was like, And then the locket, I was like, yep, that's the whole thing about his heart.
So I don't know if y'all have read the series Once Upon a Broken Heart.
I'm not.
Okay. I had some feels that were very similar to him and Jax or
Yes.
the Ballad of the Archer and the Fox.
Yeah, yeah.
That one,
It kind of is
FYI,
very
it
similar now that you
is.
bring it up.
he
It
has a
is.
curse too. That one, friends, is safe for your 13, 14-year-old to read. And it was a
Yes.
pretty good, we read it as a book club just because it was trending. And it actually was a pretty good read. And it's fairy
I would
tale
say
format.
for a mature 13, 14-year-old
Yes.
on that one.
And
yeah.
there is absolutely no smut. It's just straightforward. This is kind of similar
But
The
absolutely
for the
not for your.
grown-ups. But
This is going to be for a strong
strong
woman, grown woman to read.
Grown woman. I will say that there's a lot of similarities between Jax and Enver. That they're they both have a curse. Both of them don't have a heart and can't really feel much. And of course, somebody's got to break the curse. And, it's not true love's kiss here. It's one of those that's almost always the cure all.
Yeah, because like if you're not a smut reader, you definitely gonna be clutching some pearls in this one.
You for sure.
Like you fit to break a necklace.
If you ain't clutching pearls, you clutching pearl.
Yeah. Because let me tell you,
Um, um,
You clutching the pearl.
and I have no trouble with smut. Smut is not a problem for me.
But don't try to take it to church and read it in your group
No,
on your
absolutely do
downtime.
not.
There are some books that have like smutty books in a series, but the whole series isn't
I
smutty.
can say some of this smut was for me was even a little.
Look, even his shadows
Well,
was smutty.
That's what I was gonna say.
They
The whole
introduced characters.
They made
other-
characters hot.
I
to
know,
pants.
like that they had shadows doing stuff
Other
that
things
grown
into
men
the-
can't do.
No. There was shadows in every orifice.
y'all didn't like the shadows.
Didn't say I didn't like the shadows, but they was in many places at one time,
They
And all many
definitely
different
were.
places at one time.
and that was pretty. It was a really graphic description.
It was a very.
Oh, it
graphic
was like
yes,
she.
yes.
This is very, very graphic.
And like most of the scenes, most of the smuttier scenes in this is very
very
graphic.
Oh yeah,
detailed.
this whole book is really detailed though, not just the smut.
I
But
don't
it's-
hate it though.
I don't either.
No.
I don't hate
no,
it.
I don't hate
I
it.
loved that.
I'm not even like dissing it. It's just funny.
Oh no, I meant like I'm not mad about it.
I
I was just like, homegirl.
You know what I mean?
She's
I'm not mad
just.
about it.
I mean, for
I'm
somebody that
honestly,
was.
I'm kind of jealous.
She was all about it.
I
She
mean,
was all about it.
She was so excited. Made her day.
And the shadows that just kind of blew my mind though.
I really like how they did
Literally
the shadows though.
blowed her
Very
mind,
interesting.
I did like how they did it because
or
like
blowed all over her, shall I say?
in other books with shadows, it's literally shadows, and so you don't think about how you can make them like form. And so I like that they did that. I thought that was cool. That was something I hadn't just
Very
seen much
different,
of.
very
But that
different.
shows how strong he is, though, because a lot of characters like they talk about their shadows and what they can do, but this dude full on
He
made
did it.
He like made himself 3 or 4 times stand there. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, she had a gang.
Bang with shadows.
I
There
love
you
that.
go.
I love that y'all split that up.
I mean,
There you
I mean, if you think
I mean, but she
the
did.
shadows ran a train on this girl.
So in this
They did.
in this specific book, yeah, the
Look at Bailey
shadows.
trying to hold it together.
The shadows. He could feel everything they were feeling, and I
Yeah.
thought that was also something
That
very
was a big-
unique.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was very unique. So like,
I can't even imagine. Like,
Well,
just
that was a big part of one of
yes,
the scenes.
that was
Yeah.
a massive part of those scenes. So like, I'm gonna be very PG with this. If she touched a shadow's face, he
could-
felt it on
yeah.
his face, and so carry on. You know what I mean? But
You have
it's just like
multiple of these.
yes,
a funny part about me like reading this book. So there are some times when we're like reading in bed, or I'm reading and Steven's watching TV, and I lay my head down and he was like rubbing my head, so I go to sleep, and I'm reading on my Kindle and I'm scrolling through, and I noticed that he's kind of like looking a little bit. I don't know if he's reading or not, but so it's one of those shadow scenes, and I'm like, let me just get out of the scene so he doesn't think that this is all I read. And then like 7 swipes later, we're still in the same position.
Yes.
That's how graphic
We're
it
still
is.
in the same position with the head hanging off the bed, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Steven is looking at me like, are you freaking kidding? Like, that's a lot, Amber. And I was like, literally still swiping. That's
Keep
how
going.
graphic this is. And I'm
don't
not hate
even
it.
ask anymore when I'm reading. Like sometimes he'll be sitting next to me and he'll look over and he'll be like, "Oh my god," and I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You just stay over there and watch your show." And he's like, "Yeah, trust me, I am."
But also, Stephen works offshore, so he's here. Amber's reading that, and I'm in his head. He's going, "Bon, chicka, wah, wah." You know what I'm saying?
Well, he also knows me and knows I'm more focused on, I got to finish reading this. and maybe talk to me later, but let me finish reading this first because I got to finish reading it. I just can't stop.
He knows he's got to just rub your head and wait.
Yeah. Don't interrupt my reading. I'm in a mood. I'm a mood reader. Are y'all a mood reader?
I'm a mood
Yes.
reader.
So, and by the way, guys, if y'all are mood readers, we also have made like little playlists that go along with the books. You can find it on Spotify. We do have one for Until the World Falls Down. Now, this one is mine, so it may not match yours, but I'm pretty sure Bailey can make her own. And anyway, if you're a mood reader, those are up, and Pinterest has a ton of fan art on this already. But I myself am a mood reader. If you break me out of my mood, I'm not going to enjoy it much.
Mm-mm.
I like to be immersed in my mood. I like to be listening to what I feel like is going on, and I like to have the
See,
lights
I'm a kind of
down.
reader. I like to be curled up in my bed, nobody bothering me, and just read. That's how I
Me
like to
too.
read.
And I don't know if y'all have seen them, but this is like on my wish list for real. Those projectors
Oh yes.
and
Ambiance.
the
and stuff,
ambiance, you
yes.
can set the ambiance to what it's like inside the book and listen
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
playlist. And y'all, that's where I live. Like, I'm a mood reader, and Stephen knows this and does not. You better not interrupt my mood. Like, I want to read,
Or you're like me reading these scenes at 10 o'clock in the morning with your 5-year-old.
running around.
Well,
Yes.
I say, yeah, now that we're talking about, I say I'm a mood reader because for the most part I am. However, I also have another part of me that can literally read any of this anywhere. Because most of this book I did read sitting directly next to my mom on the couch.
I can read anywhere.
What you read? Nothing.
Yeah, in my
Mama.
face. I mean, my face is just a very
Really?
stone face. I
Yeah.
don't get embarrassed about what I'm reading. Like,
never
it is
know.
what it is. I'm like, yeah, it's what's happening.
And like, I hate being out in public. And this is one of the reasons why I love to read my Kindle when I'm out in public or my phone. For the longest time, it was Amber the nurse, the pediatric nurse. And Amber takes care of the kids at work. So what you read was kind of like, which, not saying much now, I was supposed to be a small business owner, still supposed to watch that kind of stuff. But I do by using my Kindle. But when I go out and about and I like have my book covers or I'm looking at books at the store, everybody gives me the side eye. I'm like, what? What's wrong with it? I'm reading it. I'm not practicing it, but I mean,
Yeah, there's
I
a
enjoy it.
significant difference in those things.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like I just,
And
my
and
book
everyone
choice.
watches movies. Everyone has their own preference on movies.
So what's the difference in us
They're
reading
so
our
different.
books?
Yes.
I mean, whether you're
And it's-
someone who watches the deep romantic movies or someone who watches like slasher films, I don't assume you're going out
combination
and
of both
slashing.
is
You
good.
know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's not what I assume is happening.
Just
I-
because we
yeah.
read smutty stuff doesn't mean we're going out, prostituting on the weekends.
Yeah.
Smutting it up.
And I
You know?
honestly, let me just, and this is probably going to be a tangent, but I think it needs to be discussed. And I am so angry about it. And I know most of my readers, I'm sure that y'all have to be too. For the longest time, Sarah J. Maas had ACOTAR in the works. It was Hulu, Amazon. Somebody had picked it up to make a TV
Yeah.
series. Then we had The Fourth Wing, which that is still being, you had the people that are show running and stuff. They're forming it, and so far Rebecca Yarros is pretty pleased. I will say this: I don't know about y'all, but the entertainment industry is ruining books.
I was about to say,
Absolutely.
I just wish they wouldn't.
I do too.
Just leave it alone.
If they can't make it like the writers write it, if they are
Just leave it
so obsessed with throwing all these different agendas into there to make it appear that if they're so worried, they're not doing the work justice.
Not at all.
Right.
And honestly, most of these, and I know I hate to say it because it does take away from artists as well. Being an artist, I don't love it as much. But a lot of the AI videos,
Yes.
I prefer that to most things that I've seen on
Yes.
Amen,
the
sister.
different networks.
Yes.
Because they don't have a set agenda, anything. They just want to go.
We're
they
just going off the book.
Yeah, right. They're just these are the people that are going off the books and like what we would see as the reader, not worried about like what everybody's going to think because we're making a movie. We've got to make it set for everybody. No, we're just the readers.
There is
This is
gonna
who
be
it is
a
for, is our
set.
readers.
Yes, there's gonna be a set group of followers, no matter what. You
Mhm.
can't make it all inclusive for everybody because everybody
Because
has
half
their
the
own.
people that go watch these
specifics.
movies haven't even read the book.
Well,
Mhm.
and I say it all the time with my customers for my designs. If they want a design for a book or what have you, and they're specific about, well, we want this certain thing involved because we want people to know what it is, so we need a name on it. And I'm like, okay, but if they've read this book and they're coming to you to purchase this for this book, they don't need that. Like, they know
They
who
already
these
know.
characters are. They know
Yes.
what these things are.
Yes.
You know, we don't need all the extra things. We're just here for the work.
Yes. It really bothers me that
I'm trying like overcomplicate.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's overcomplicating.
it's nothing as simple. And Game of Thrones, I'm just going to use that for an example. That was one of the last series that was somewhat following
Yeah.
the books.
Yeah.
And it did well. And they talk about Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones. Everybody's watching Game of Thrones. Everybody's watching this series, season 2, blah, blah, blah. And they wonder why it did so well. And then you've got these flops because they're trying so hard to make something what it's not.
Well, and Outlander's another one that followed the books pretty well. I don't know if you've read
Yes.
Outlander or not, but they followed the books
And they made
pretty closely.
great.
Yeah.
It's just so much of, I think, politics, certain agendas, racial stuff is all just pushed on everybody all the time, and
They're
then
just trying
they're
to
just they're putting it in everything, and it just ruins. Just do the book.
It's-
That's all we
Yes.
ask. Just do
it's
the
trying
book.
to brand to bring in whatever is popular at the time.
Right.
But again, if we're watching a show or a movie about a book, it's because we've read the book. We want it to be about the book.
Yes. And
For
it-
us readers, we don't want it ruined.
And for the life of me, for the longest, when I first started reading again, I'll be honest, Sarah J. Maas, she did it for me. I had not read in the longest.
Same.
I haven't either. And
Same.
she's the one. Whenever you were telling me about her books, I was like, okay.
Yeah. And it just turns another page,
Yeah,
and all of a
like,
sudden you're reading
I
everything
just started
again.
reading again. Like I hadn't read in a long time. I hadn't had time. Didn't make time for it. But she just like completely turned it around for me to start reading again.
I understand. First of all, it's brilliance in any author that creates an alternate universe. All the power. I mean, because that's hard.
That is hard.
And you've got her, not only has she created one, but she's created 3 and about to be 4 whole different universes. I get it. In the beginning, I was like, I don't know why ACOTAR just doesn't become a TV series because it's just too good not to, blah, blah, blah. And
But now it's too good to do that.
and
Yeah.
now after seeing,
You're scared they're
and
gonna ruin it.
I'm like, just don't bother, because if y'all are gonna do that, and even some of the actors,
Actors, and you're not, because that's such the struggle with finding.
The right one.
Yes, because every reader pictures everything differently.
yes,
And so you're never going to please even a majority most of the time. It's hard to do because we all picture the world differently, you know.
But that's
When
part of fantasy, though.
we're talking about the gardens, for example, in Until the World Falls Down. If you talk about the garden out where they have the statue and everything, you know, I picture massive hedges. I picture this square little part of, you know, concrete with this little fountain and statue, but others might not picture that. You
See, I
know?
pictured.
That's
See,
not what I saw at
See,
all.
that's. I pictured like roses, rose bushes.
See, I saw rose
So
bushes.
exactly. So see, just even that, something as simple as what the garden
It
looks
looks like,
like,
yeah.
we all pictured it
yeah.
differently.
Mine was like the little maze from Harry Potter. Do y'all remember that one where Cedric?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
see, like mine was almost to that effect. Yeah, I mean, like massive hedges, and then like this one random spot, like in the labyrinth when she comes to the square with the doors.
Yes,
You know, a little
yes.
spot like that with the statue and the fountain and everything, but it was massive hedges. It wasn't.
Well, see, to
little
me, I could see
roses
like that
everywhere.
massive hedges, but like closed in like a small room, like it was like a bigger area.
Like the secret garden kind of.
yeah,
I
kind of
can
like
see that.
yeah, and like the like the roses in a circle around, like
And that's what I'm saying.
the-
See,
But
I
yeah.
saw a circular.
If we put
garden
it in
yeah,
with
and
a
see,
film
see,
to the
that's probably
side.
like crazy because she saw more square. We saw circular.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just something like
If we put
how
it
we
in a-
interpret things with our
if
own
we put it in a
brains.
film, though, that's gonna be it's just that's
Well, if it's
how I
square,
pictured
you're
it.
gonna
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
We're gonna be
Or
like,
heck,
that's not what I saw.
Yeah.
If you leave it to America today, it's going to wind up being a triangle since nobody could agree whether it was a square or a circle. So
It'll
it's going to
be-
be a triangle.
It'll be just a
Yeah.
bunch of grass with random concrete walkways and then like a water fountain.
Yeah, and then not only is it going to be a triangle, but now we're going to have we're going to make sure that everybody either has a black attendant or a lesbian over here, and somebody
Yes.
has had a sex change.
Yes.
They are going to force it into every
Somewhere
agenda.
there is going to be
Yes.
something forced.
Not saying that's not an issue by no means. That's not what I'm saying. And people, I want you to know
but it
there's a
shouldn't be
difference.
pushed. It shouldn't be pushed
Yes,
on people.
fantasy is actually dealing with the same issues, but we're just not calling it that. Meaning that like fantasy, and once again I'm using Harry Potter, and I'm sad. I'm bad
Again,
about
guys,
this.
what's her arc book?
Yeah. So
Bear with her.
obviously it's medical. But so you have like Muggleborns, for instance. We're dealing with racism, but it's not racism in the fantasy books. We're trying to get away from that. We deal with enough of that on a normal basis. So when they're doing fantasy movies
And
and
see,
putting it
also-
in
fantasy
there,
out of
they're taking the
fantasy.
fantasy out of it.
Fantasy is
We're
fantasy.
giving real world problems.
Well, I
to
mean,
fantasy.
Yes.
because we do that. We want to
People
fantasy is-
controlling shadows.
Yes.
And you've
Yeah.
got a fox falling in love with a human. Like,
Yeah.
you've got a mermaid falling in love with a what was she? Like a soldier or princess.
Yeah,
Yes.
princess,
Yeah. I mean, you've got, granted,
So
you've
you
got
can
all.
be whoever
Fantasy-
you.
Yeah, fantasy is something you want to get away from.
Your escape.
Reality.
It's an escape.
We're still dealing with these issues, people. We're still
We just
dealing with
wanna-
them.
Yeah, but whenever
We're
I'm,
just not calling them that.
Yeah, we're just not calling them that.
but when I want to get away, I don't
Yeah.
want what everything's going on in front of me now. I want to just get away.
Well,
The cool thing about this book is that we do have that in this
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of that. We do
Yeah.
have the reason why Paloma and Nima couldn't be together is because they were lesbians. So we
Yeah.
had that in this book. We had
but it was.
But it's
it
not,
was
like,
well, It was
pushed.
very well written.
it
it
was.
It was.
It was not an obvious. I'm putting this in because I feel like I need to put this in.
Right.
Right. And that's what
It
our
was. I'm putting it in
television
because
is doing.
it flows with the
It
story.
flows,
Yes.
it fits.
Because
It's part of it.
It was part of what was needed for them somehow to feel that
Yeah,
pocket.
so
Yes.
by all
for them to
means,
feel their
it's not a
selves.
problem to add it whatsoever. It's just
And
Like,
leave it
it
to
wasn't like
American
an
TV.
agenda. It
We're
wa-
going
I
to
guess
throw in
so.
Donald Trump just because.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're gonna-
we're going to throw in politics
course.
just somewhere.
if,
Yeah.
if you can, in a well written way, work
Weave
things
it
in, that's perfectly
and not
fine.
beat a dead horse.
No,
Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't need to keep bringing it up. We don't need to.
It's depressing
so
enough as it
blatantly
is.
say it.
Well, you're trying to escape
Yeah.
what's
we-
going
yeah,
on
we
in
don't-
the real.
We don't want
Like I
what's
say,
going
I
on.
read fantasy because I want to escape. If I wanted to deal with real world, I would just live my life.
Yes.
I would watch Fox News all the time if I wanted
Yes.
to, instead of reading.
And which I love these books. I just really hate what the entertainment industry is trying to do to them.
Yeah.
By trying to create
It's because
different
finally
agendas.
reading is coming back more to the forefront than
And some of these actors
movies,
are
actresses
so
and stuff.
spoiled to get in the, and their drama is definitely taken away from the author.
yes.
And I don't think that's right either. And the fact that like the entertainment industry, y'all, we are eating it up.
But that's why they're doing it, though, is because so much was emphasized on the book, how much a good author is, when it's not all about what they're doing with the movie and they're being the actresses and actors and stuff. Of course, it's got to be something about them. Something's got just to pull, so that way they're the center of attention instead of the author of the book themselves.
I really hate. I'm not a big, like I said, I'm not a big Colleen Hoover fan. I will read it. She's not a bad author by no means. It's just not my favorite genre. But she does write really well, and she does write good books.
Yeah.
But even though the movie was still a top seller, she did get top name author or top name actresses and actors in there to do the movie justice, but because of all the drama that happened afterwards, I mean,
It didn't
that,
go near like it could have went.
no.
No.
And that didn't do her justice.
Yeah, it took
Like,
away from her
overshadowed
and
it.
her work.
And it just, I don't know, it just kind of beat a dead horse. But anyway, back to the book. One thing that I don't even know how I'm going to address it in the next book because this is just a terrible, terrible outlook. How did y'all feel about Evangeline? Did that not just break your heart?
Oh, it didn't.
No, I didn't feel sorry for her.
I think we know where I stand on most of these things, and it did not
Can't
bother me
say
a
it bothered
bit.
me. Can't say it. Because
Well,
come at me.
What I will say is
Come at
that
me with a blade.
the end of the book, it just kind of like, where is she?
Yeah, that is one thing that. Well, no, it did say, didn't it?
She's
mean,
kind
she's
of
like-
exhausted from.
yeah,
yeah.
she's like healing or whatever.
Like in the background,
But
like
I've got to be honest. No, it didn't bother me how that ended up turning out.
I'll honestly say
I was annoyed whenever she came to and was aware, and they
but
were
I
all
wanna
aware.
know
I was
this
Yes.
annoyed.
conversation
Look.
that went on between
her and him.
her and him.
Yes, I do
about
too.
For her to all of a sudden just be
be
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Well, and how could she not be though, honestly, if you think about it? Because once she came to and realized what he had been put through and for how long, because they told her, I mean, she had to realize he's been living this whole other life. Like she was still stuck where
he-
sh-
but he-
where they
but
were.
he
you
wasn't.
detach yourself like
Well, she loved him.
that quick to just be like, okay. Like,
She
you
loved
can
him.
be
She
with
wanted
her
him to be.
then,
That's how I
guess.
saw it. Is that she loved him and she truly just wanted him
selfless-
his happiness.
selfless love.
Yeah.
I see that too. But if it comes out to, and I think I think by the time that this is, we're going to have to circle back to this after we
Probably.
finish Lies of Lena. Because Lies of Lena, I feel like the main character, Lena, is going to kind of be like your Evangeline in this story, where there's like years of difference and all of a sudden you can't just pick back up after he's moved on, and it's really different.
I'm sure her heart was broken.
I'm sure.
But also, there's probably more to the story that we haven't heard yet.
Well, that's
too.
what I was.
And
how
I
big of
can't
a
wait.
part
I'm
do you
Maybe
here
a-
for
think
it.
she's
maybe-
gonna play in this next
I
book?
definitely am kind of worried
Yes.
about that.
I am
Do
too.
you think she's gonna be a problem?
I
Do
feel
you
like she
think-
might be.
Oh, I think she's
feel
gonna be.
like she's definitely gonna
I
play off.
definitely feel like we're
of
going to have a problem.
his darkness.
I do wonder because honestly, when he comes back for her, and he, for some reason, I'm not getting the same vibes in the epilogue that I got from
Oh,
her
no.
point of view.
Completely.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, I am going to say, while I loved that he came back for her, how he did, I thought it was also very awkward. Like, it caught me kind of off guard in that it was so just immediately so intense, and he was like, come with me, and like, it was
There.
just so
Like, yeah.
in her face immediately that it just kind of caught me off guard. And then, right, like, he seemed so intense and genuine there, and so absolutely love and happy, and just wants to live with her forever. And then, yeah, you go to the epilogue, and it's like, he still feels that way, but
It is much darker,
Yeah.
and it's
What
almost
we
like
think,
he's
yeah.
got another
personality.
Yeah,
Like, we got a whole split personality happening.
and then
And a whole new agenda.
yeah, he's got a whole different agenda.
Which we had to give him another agenda if we want another book.
Go on to the
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
one.
We have
But
to have
this is
another
gonna be this
we
is
have
gonna
to
be
have
a dark
another,
agenda though.
antagonist situation. So they had to give us something. But
What if he does have like an alternate personality? Like, she has a twin.
yeah,
This is kind of far fetched. I'm sorry, Jordan Lynde. If you ever listen to this podcast, I know I am probably not going to be anywhere near.
she's gonna be like that. Is
He
not
ate.
possible.
No,
he
Amber,
ate
that's
his
not.
twin,
We
absorbed him
really
some
don't
way.
know
We don't know that.
much
Yeah.
about his origin other than he was.
I mean,
Or
what
Or
if
took
is
him
there?
in.
Or is there actually two of him?
okay? So
If he's
let
allowed?
me just say that this part confused me. Okay, so Evangeline's sister, can't remember her name right this second. She says that nobody knows him by his real name. Which one is his real name?
Right.
Is
That's
it
what I'm
Betty
saying.
Fair or
Is there
Ember?
two of them?
Yeah. So that's a logical guess.
'Cause see,
Could
I
she
kept
have been in
thinking-
love with the brother and this be Enver?
What if you're right?
Yeah. See, that's what I was thinking.
Because every-
she has a twin. Why can't he have a twin?
But that confused me because it never clearly says this is his real name or
Yes.
anything. Like it's just that's not who I am.
Because he only
my name is
says
Amber.
that one time. Why would you call me that? Or
Yeah.
something like that in there. So
And it never addressed it after that.
No,
either,
it
did
didn't.
so maybe him and his twin.
She just
is called-
accepted that
That wasn't.
that's not what he was being called.
Mhm. And she's the only one that's ever been able to call him by his name, his true name.
Yeah, they call him what, Lord or?
Yeah.
Let me just
She is. She can only one that can call him Ember,
Well,
and
so
they was
they
like,
would
why?
question
and they-
it, like, who's
yeah,
that?
Verifer or something.
and like again,
Because
I
nobody
said we've
knew
got
who
Verifer
Ember was.
and we've got Inver. It's not even like that's a shortened version. You know what I mean? Like that's two different names. And the sister
So maybe
knew him by Verifer, but whenever she calls him Inver and she's like, no one calls him by his real name. I'm like, how do you know that was his real name? Too. That's also a plot hole for me. You know what I'm saying?
I bet it's fixing to be answered in the second book.
Because I'm like, how would she even know? Because they knew him as Verifer. So how would she know Inver would be a
so
separate
what
name?
Be a
if
different-
there's
yeah, something
there's
else.
in that him and his twins in the labyrinth, and they're actually fell in love with the same woman,
I don't know.
and she just thinks,
You have a good one and a bad one.
yeah, and she just thinks that she's in love with one of them, and there's actually two of them.
Oh, that would be
Like
some
that's
crap.
why one, like one is very loving and stuff, and the other is like, let's make some shadow people and let's get this on.
Yeah.
You know,
You got one that's bad and one that's good.
right? Could that be?
That's
I don't
very
know,
possible.
but I do know though that
Because one likes taking hot baths and loving on her and like washing her hair, and then you have the one, like I said, that just wants all this,
rocking every way. that they
yeah,
can.
tie her to the throne and like,
Go to town.
Maybe
Go
it
to-
is or maybe it is like a split.
It could be.
Person.
yeah, or
Maybe
yeah,
kind of-
or yeah.
But there is a potential for a happy ending for her and Evangeline if they are two separate ones.
That's true.
exactly.
And then that way I wouldn't be so upset.
But
It's
and both of them
true.
don't know
I think that
who
she
the
should
either
get
one is.
the bad one and let Evangeline have the nice vanilla one. You
But
know.
what if but what happens if Evangeline is being done the same way she is? She doesn't know which is which.
Well, I don't think so though. I mean, Evangeline, she was very sure about who she had. Like she knew
But she
this
also
loving man.
But she also is very sure about him also.
yeah. Like
Isla, I bet she's gonna be the one that
didn't
figures it out or that knows.
Have that poor girl running all over that.
didn't he kill her?
Golly, bless her
She
heart.
died though, didn't
Yeah,
she?
she died.
Isla died.
He killed her.
Yeah, he killed. They killed her.
She gone.
She.
But
That's
like
what I was
said,
saying. She took out the blade after him, and
I didn't.
That's
I
the one
didn't.
where
There
all
weren't many
the big
plot holes
fight.
that stood
and
out
she,
to
but
me.
also she knew that iron could hurt him.
Yeah, she knew a lot of stuff.
So
There-
why?
yeah, she
How did
had a lot of
she know
answers to
that?
them.
If she didn't know,
There weren't. I normally pick up on plot holes pretty quickly because I'm a detail oriented person. There wasn't many that bothered me, honestly, except for the name
name.
thing.
That
The
name-
name thing really bothered me.
the name also, like how she just happened to know that iron would hurt him. She had the whole iron thing.
Well, now
But so
I think that for that, my answer for that would be whenever we see his part of the labyrinth, the last little story for him, when you find out what happened to him, they know he's a shadow wielder. And so that seems to
might
be like
the
a whole species that they knew
Oh,
about.
yeah.
What about? I think we're gonna find out a whole. I think the second book
I
is gonna
think
be like
this-
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got to be.
The second book is going to make our jaws drop. I do believe.
2026, guys. 2026. We gotta wait that long to have our questions answered.
Is
See,
that
that's-
like the? I know I've looked on some of her TikTok stuff, and she's
I'm gonna have to
mentioned
stop
that she
reading
doesn't
these
have
books.
an actual because she's with a publisher.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to stop
they
reading
don't
these
have an
books
actual
so,
date
so
now.
far out because like I get so invested in wanting to know what happens that it's so hard like to wait.
Ooh, can we also talk about pet names?
I
Oh,
can.
gosh.
I have that noted in my phone. I cannot with a pet name. It takes me out just like that.
Okay,
out of the
so
story.
I love a pet name, depending on the pet name, obviously. But I've got to say, I absolutely
This one
loved what
didn't
he
bother
called
me.
her.
This one didn't bother me.
I
at all.
loved it.
I cannot.
Which
any
one
pet
was it?
name takes
My
me
little
Little
lover.
Lover.
It
Oh, I
takes me
did,
out
yeah.
immediately.
I
Even the
love
book that
that
we're
one.
reading now. Like as soon as I saw that pet name.
Oh,
that
see,
he,
now that one I'm not
like,
a fan of.
what?
That one's cringy for me
Which
because
one is it?
Flower.
Flower.
My
I
flower.
cannot
I didn't like that
figure
one.
that one out.
But I did like My Little Lover, and I don't, because it was just a little different, you know, like,
I think my thing with it is it's so repetitive. Like it's used.
He
so
uses
He
it a lot.
did
much.
use
He
it
definitely
a lot.
used
Like
it a
just
lot.
call her. her name.
Yeah, the first couple times he said it, it was like,
Oh, but wait. That also, one of them, there's two, one did use her name quite
More.
often.
yeah,
And the other one called her his little lover.
yeah, that's true.
So
Because
was
there
the
was
do
times
you
that
know when
I'm
they used her
gonna,
name more? Was it more of the like
I'm
when
gonna
they
have to
were?
go
I'm
back.
gonna have
My
to go
Little
back.
Lover was more of the dark one.
Yeah, when there was more darkness there.
So, do you know? Okay, this is a theory I have. with
Guys, watch us be
Avatar.
so off.
It-
he's
it's gonna
literally,
be that.
he's literally just got growing
Laughing at us.
darkness.
People are laughing at us. How stupid are they?
He's literally just got growing darkness inside him. It's really not that deep.
Like, there was never
But that's
another.
my
There was never.
but
a
you know that's
twin,
the
there was-
whole thing about fantasy though.
personality.
It could be so many
Well, you
things.
can go. Yeah, like your
There's so
brain.
many
Your
ways.
mind's
Funny.
gonna take you all over if you. Sit and
There
think
probably
about
is just
things.
one of them. He's just
So, my
Got some
favorite
different
character in
personalities.
Akatar, and argue with me, please, because I can just verify, and for no reason. I mean,
Never read. it.
honestly, I don't even know how I can. He's probably said 3 sentences in the whole series, but my favorite would be Azriel. Just
Oh.
I
hands
love,
down.
Yeah.
How
Love Azriel.
predictable.
Yeah, how predictable.
How predictable.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is why him and Elaine are going to wind up together, because light and darkness.
Oh no, I think Elaine needs to end up with Tamlin. I think she's perfect for Tamlin.
I just think light and darkness.
I was thinking that myself. I figured that somehow or another she's going to end up with Tamlin.
Tamlin does not get a redemption arc.
But
know these
Look, I don't.
characters.
but
I
that
don't like
gives
him.
Azriel the reason to kill him.
I don't like him.
We could just
Azriel needs to kill him.
we could just get rid of him.
I don't like Tamlin.
I don't
However,
either.
I do
I
not.
don't think that there would be anyone more perfect for him than Elaine.
I don't know. There's somebody that I feel like is gonna come back from a faraway court. Judging by like one of the chick book talkers whose theories I at first dismissed, but then when she was talking
Like
about,
us talking
Wait,
about
wait.
Yeah.
You're starting.
twins.
Now.
but she laid it all out, and I'm talking about it made so much sense that I was like, oh my gosh. Listening to Sarah J. Maas's most recent interview when she was talking about the next book and why she's taken so much time to write it, she talked about this being Elaine and Azriel's book in the same sense that she talked about this Nesta and Cassian and
I think Ashley
Farrah
needs
and
to be with
Rhysand.
one of Nesta's friends. I don't remember her name.
yeah, but no, I thought so too, but there is no. She was like, I don't understand where that theory come from. That's what she said.
Well, maybe there'll
Oh,
be a
that's
new
sad.
character that
That's
comes
so
in for
sad.
Azriel.
I don't know. She says that you're going to see Elaine, her growth so much during this
Dear
next
God, I hope
book
so.
that it's almost like Elaine who?
Okay.
But Azriel was very, very like worried about her when she was
He
taken.
was
Like,
the
he was
only
like,
one.
Like he's like,
How about
no.
Lukey boy?
He's like, we are going.
Well, she even said in this interview, she was like, well, y'all already know that the mating bond can be forged because of Throne of Glass.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what happened in Throne of Glass is Maeve made Rowan think that he was mated to somebody else, even though that was not his actual mate.
Right.
That's true.
So I'm not 100% sure, but I do know that Lucian is developing feelings for Vasa.
Yes.
And I feel like he's pretty much happy with her. He just won't
That's
really
why he's not
ever.
returned.
It's because he's with her. I think he loves her.
I like you think like yeah, he's
But
loving it.
Azriel was the only one when she got kidnapped that was like, I'm going to get her.
Yeah.
And I don't care.
From the beginning, he's like, I'm going.
Reese Ann was all the time making political, and
Yeah.
we gotta wait and strategize and make sure
Ezra
we
was
can get.
like, screw this. I'm
Ezra was like,
gone.
I ain't even listening. It ain't right. I'm going to get her, and he goes barreling off into a foreign court. Okay, well then you've got the fact that nobody else really cared about her not eating and her wasting away. Azrael was the only one that even attempted to. Feyre comments the fact that they would make pretty babies. And Rhysand says, I know, but, she does have a mate. And she was like, yeah, but I don't think Elaine's really interested. And this is in a nutshell, it's not verbatim. And he's like, well, a mating bond is kind of like just a suggestion, pretty much. His parents were mates, but they didn't really care about each other. And so we're having all these different options. The way that she says it's almost like they're going to be together. But light and darkness, good and evil, it follows a pattern. I could see
Balances
how
them out.
she's nice and sweet, and then you got Ember, who's got a lot of darkness. I think it'll balance out.
I hope so.
All of that for that is just what I was saying, but
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all can't tell that I am totally anticipating this next book because I've been waiting on ACOTAR for over 10 years to be finalized.
It's
Well, let me tell you though,
That's
I
a
mean,
third of my lifetime.
This has got me excited about the next one for this though. Do we know when? She didn't say when.
She didn't say a specific date. It just said 2026.
Because I mean, I feel like while she wrapped up this book very well, you know what I mean? We still obviously have a lot of questions.
Yes.
Which is exactly what you want when you're writing.
Or a lot of suggestions.
Yeah, well, it's
Questions I didn't have until we sat down
Yeah,
here.
I
Now I'm
know, we
like,
all
oh
started
my
talking
God.
about
I
it.
felt so confident about everything until we sat down and started talking about it, and now I'm like, But
Because
that's what
we
you
all
want.
see it so many different ways. And
But as an author, I mean, that's what you want, though. You want people
yeah.
questioning and anticipating your next book.
And
so she's
circle
getting what
back
she's
and
wanting.
rereading. Yeah, I totally.
Because,
get
like,
it.
yeah, just now, like, us talking about that, I'm like, well, I'm going to have to
go
go
back
back and
and
look
and
when
check with-
they talked and he uses her real name and her pet name. Like, I'm going to have to go back and check that out.
And when
Just by
did
that.
I think I don't know which one of y'all had it pulled up. When is the book, the physical book, going to be available again?
So I checked it out, and according to Amazon or Kindle, y'all,
August, isn't it? Didn't it say August?
it is August. It's August of this year. I don't know if y'all know that you can go ahead and get this book on Kindle. It's on Kindle Unlimited, but the published works,
actual-
the actual paper book or paperback book is not going to be until, or is it hardcover? I think hardcover comes
No,
first.
it's
No, it's
I
paperback.
think it's paperback.
Paperback will not be out until August. But
You can
I
pre-order.
have a, yeah, you can pre order it.
I'm a Kindle Unlimited guru. I don't think this one has an Audible yet, but I read it on Kindle Unlimited. I hope that you aren't listening to us before you read it. Just like in chapter 10, we are a read it and dish. That means read it before you listen to us dish
Well,
it.
honestly, we didn't
Really give a whole lot of
give a whole lot away.
spoilers. I mean, we
I would-
kind of
Well,
talked
we
about the
have
labyrinth,
touched on a
but
few things.
We
But that's-
compared it to Labyrinth. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a view and you've seen the movie, you get the idea. So,
Yeah.
I don't feel like we did too much that would ruin it.
no, and I mean
There's still
honestly,
plenty of surprises and still plenty of core story to read there.
and I honestly think there's enough that in the
And there's
title.
so many
read
different
and dish.
stories
Yeah.
that we didn't even get a chance to touch
No.
on.
Oh yeah, like the whole
The whole
meat of the book, like the
Yeah.
We didn't.
The different
the
Man.
whole different
the labyrinths she went into.
yeah, like the multiple labyrinths she did like have to go through to complete
Oh,
everything.
And I do mean my favorite was Dio. I
I
loved
know.
Dio's.
Yes.
And the fact that she didn't really have a familial bond like that to really understand until she saw that.
His
Really.
was just precious.
August 26th.
August 26th. That is when the paperback is available.
But also, she goes in and she just helps. She doesn't even think
Yeah, she
about
didn't
it.
question it.
She
just
never
helps with whatever they
questioned,
need.
but that's how good of a heart that she has. That she just
She wants them to
boom,
have their
like
love.
she literally gave her blood.
Yeah.
Somebody she didn't even know, like entrusted him to bite her. Hello, I You go suck on somebody else's neck.
Yeah.
Me, I ain't. I'm sorry.
I don't know though. I love Twilight.
I don't know. Bailey's like, ooh.
Bailey's over
me,
here
me.
like,
I volunteer as tribute. I volunteer as tribute.
go ahead.
Do you need you
I'm
need
gonna
both
say,
sides?
here, take her
Can
and
I
see how this
offer a
ends
wrist
up.
as well?
I volunteer as tribute. I'm telling you, like there are so many.
I'm gonna see how
that-
she turns out first. If the hype's true, what I'll check is I'm 45 years old. I want to know if I'm gonna look good after
This
this, or
young
I'm
blood
gonna
first.
wind
That
up,
is so funny. I
There-
honestly
yeah.
love how
If it's gonna make me
The
get rid of my
different,
wrinkles, I'm all for it.
I
Suck
love
my
all the
neck.
different viewpoints in this room, guys. I really do. It's pretty great.
Because we're all different ages. Like we all come from like a couple of y'all, y'all are from the same group.
Go ahead.
I'm definitely
Age
the
people.
older one. Bailey's the baby, and we're all kind of like.
Bailey's the baby, but evidently one of the worst. I mean, what are we doing, people?
That shows what
Generation X.
happened. That shows how we all deteriorated
Hey,
as the children goes
look.
along.
Our generation
Like,
was
yeah.
our generation was raised on hose water and neglect.
And
Just throw us outside. Just throw us to
and
the
we
wolves.
got beat with the water hoses.
Oh
So
gosh.
while y'all were enjoying drinking
Yeah.
the cool water, we were beat with the water
now,
hoses.
now because it's soft
Listen,
parenting.
Now
all
Bailey can't even pick a water hose up.
I've-
It's too hot.
I've never drank from a water hose, so let's-
She bougie like that.
I won't be doing that.
She's like, ew.
I don't even drink tap water.
Hose water. What is
What is
what
hose
is that?
water?
Does hose water come in the bottle?
do they have sparkles?
And basically, what they don't know is really it probably just comes
Is
from
it
the
just
hose.
straining from the dirt?
I'm telling you, like that's what I think about every time I read that this got the age gap trope. I'm like,
we definitely got it right here.
yeah, if I'm gonna read this book, how big of an age gap are we talking? Are we talking like generation XYZ? Like, what are we talking? Because
Well, Bailey, what is your age?
I was born in 98.
Oh wow.
Okay, so this is Mandy, and I was born in 1980.
are we really discussing this online? Like,
We
I
are.
could just
It's happening.
There's
Oh,
almost
yeah.
it's almost so
But it shows-
98, 88, 80. So it's almost
I
it's
mean,
almost
10
pretty
years.
yeah,
equal.
around the
yeah.
yeah.
I
I'm
mean, and y'all, we
87.
all love to read.
I love
at
how
these
it brings
different
you
gener- that-
together.
Yeah, and we're all like,
Well,
yeah.
Are y'all gonna cry?
Kumbaya.
Don't do that.
Amber's the crier.
Let's
Amber's
not.
the crier.
I'm not in menopause yet. I'm at
can
contract some
say-
tears.
I am 45, and I also am not in menopause.
I'm done. Oh my god.
Unless you're talking about menopause, then yeah, we want to pause on some
Yes.
because every woman's trouble begins with men.
Oh, menopause.
Menopause.
Menstruation.
And menstruation.
WTF.
It's all of it.
Or just men just being babies.
Man cold.
Men causing babies.
Yes. I'm done.
And that is a wrap, people.
Yes, we are actually. This was a pretty good, lengthy, really good time
Yeah, I
wise.
think-
Like we did an hour and 13 minutes. We are going to likely circle back on this book before the second book comes out because
Oh, for
we'll
sure.
have.
Oh, yeah.
We'll
Recap.
definitely
I'm
have
pretty
to do
sure
that.
we're going to be using this book as like
This will be
as a
good
hit
reference
back,
point.
Would
just
you
like we do.
categorize This, like what genre?
Smut.
I think fantasy
Yeah,
smut.
definitely fantasy smut.
Definitely adult. I will say Goodreads normally is pretty on cue with how I rate my books or how we rate our books. Our ratings, just in case you want to know, guys, these are going to be specific to our own personal opinions. Even though we're going to rate on the same category, our rating scale is going to be one star. How well this is written. Do you think that this absolutely explains everything to a T and does a really good job at description? 2 stars. How's the plot? Is the plot interesting? Does it keep your interest? 3 stars. If it keeps your interest, keeps you intrigued to move on to the next. Sometimes, even though if I don't like the characters, I'll still be intrigued and want to know what happens just because. So, does that meet your qualifications for that? That's another star. Characters and their development. How well do you feel like you relate to the characters? Is the character relatability, is that absolutely on cue with how you fit? Does it bring you closer to them? Do they feel like family members by the time the book is over? And 5 stars, is this a reread slash Roman Empire slash love this? I'm probably going to talk about it for a while and I'm going to remember it. It's going to be memorable. So my rating for this specifically is personally 3.5, and that is not, it's just because it's book specific, it's still world building. A lot of times when you read the second book, the series will bring together because we have questions that are probably going to be answered. So to me, the only thing is it's not, I probably wouldn't reread it if it wasn't a series, but that doesn't make it any less good. And the other 0.25 stars that are missing is the character development that I know is coming. Y'all see what I'm saying? Like, we have a lot of character development between Invert and her that's coming in the
Yeah,
second book,
There's
but it's
such
not
a
here
lot we
yet.
don't even really know.
Right.
So
about
even
the
though
main
it's a
characters.
3.5 now for me, it will likely be a 4.5 and greater when we finally get the character development tied up in the second book.
And like, see, for me, I think it would be a 4 for the same reasons, but because I think I would reread it just because I want to fill in those plot holes
From the
That
beginning,
you
yeah.
can-
from
You
that
know,
we didn't really
yeah.
realize until we started talking about it tonight. So
I
I
have
think
to
I
agree.
would, it would be a 4 for me.
I have to agree. I was thinking of 4 also, and that's because I agree with absolutely everything you said. I, though, like Mandy said, I would reread it. Like, I, even if even if we didn't have the added epilogue at the end, or even with it, honestly, I mean, I'll reread it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, I loved the storyline.
Absolutely.
how
I
it
love
went.
the way the characters and she described everything. Her description was amazing to me.
Yeah, I
And for
love.
her to be a debut published,
Yeah, I
she
thought it
was
was
just
great.
good.
It was
Yeah.
so well written.
I do believe we're
Debut.
going to be hearing
a lot
a
about
lot
her.
about her
Yeah.
throughout the years.
I
really
definitely
do.
wouldn't mind. I mean, I say wouldn't mind because I probably will be rereading it. So I think I would go with a 4.
Okay, what about you,
I
Adrian?
think that's what a 4. And for this to be my, like, first fantasy, I think it was a good one.
Yeah,
I do
she's.
too.
We
Yeah.
just
Started
broke
off
her
on a
in with the
good-
fantasy tonight. So
And
I forgot that.
to be a pearl
Yeah,
clutcher, you know.
she's yeah.
Overall, this stuff don't bother me. Like I said, I can read it with my 5-year-old running through the kitchen. And you wouldn't know what I was reading.
Yep.
I mean, it's a, but yeah, I agree. I think a 4, and I will reread before the next.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
when I
I
get
prob-
my
I
answer.
probably will too.
I'll
definitely.
definitely be rereading before 2 comes out.
I probably will. I'm a really bad about just go ahead and reading something else. So that's probably why I wouldn't technically reread it, but I probably will reread it before the second
But
one
see,
comes
I'm
out.
yeah.
also
I've always got
before a
something
new
I'm reading.
season of stuff starts that I've been watching, I will go back and watch the last episode of the season before, just so that I get
Refresh it.
to
Yeah.
refresh and get my
I-
mindset back to
You
where I
watch the
need to
whole
be.
season?
I watched from the very
Yeah,
beginning. So
yeah.
if we're starting, if season 8 just came out, we're starting at
at the
season
beginning.
1, baby. And I don't care if that season 8's been out for a week and a half. We're going through all the seasons.
Oh no, I can't
So-
wait that long.
So
I don't have the
will
patience for
definitely be
that.
rereading before 2 comes out.
All right, guys. So next week we're going to read and dish "Lies of Lena" by debut author Kylie Snow. This is her first published work. I will say I was thoroughly blown away by this being a debut. Like, for fantasy, it's a lot of world building, and that's just phenomenal. These 2 authors right here are just hands down great. But join us again next Monday. Check out our Facebook and our store for merchandise related to Until the World Falls Down. We will be creating candles, t-shirts, and for the books that we read. If you have any recommendations or anything you'd like to comment or say, just follow our page and give us a shout. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.